Welcome to CSL TV. I just hope you guys are having a beautiful, blessed day. The content I'm about to show y'all today talks about a prostitution ring. But if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what caught your interest, as well as share me on your social media. Gladly appreciate it. It gives me feedback to let me know I'm doing something right. I don't know what to say on this one, but like I said, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Hope you guys are having a beautiful, blessed day. Let's get it.
Folks, I really appreciate you being here. We're going to talk about our Operation Fall Hall 2, our human trafficking operation. Now, at the conclusion of that, we've had an event just occur at the state level, and the Secretary of the Department of Corrections has asked me to make a statement about that, so there'll be a separate topic after this human trafficking operation press release is complete. But I'm joined here today by our team members. To be ultimately successful as we have been in this operation, we simply can't do it by ourselves. It takes the police agencies and our colleagues from social services to be able to do a complete human trafficking operation, because what we're after today and every day that we do one of these operations is to find the victims of human trafficking. To do that, you have to cast a wide net, and that's what we did. We were joined by the Haines City Police Department, and Chief Greg Gorick is here today with us. The Lake Wells Police Department is represented here today. The Davenport Police Department and Interim Chief Bill Schrader is with us. The Bartow Police Department and Captain Michelle Smith is with us. The Winter Haven Police Department is represented by Lieutenant Derek Blanton. Of course, we have the State Attorney's Office with Jennifer Ordonez, and I can't say enough great things about Brian Haas, our State Attorney, and his prosecutors, because none of this would be possible without the cooperation of and the support of the State Attorney's Office. But what's really important to us is not just that we have a police operation, because we had a successful police operation, but we're trying to identify the victims of human trafficking. And when we do, from the moment they come into the operation, we want to immediately hand them off to our social services friends and our counselors so that they can begin working with these victims of human trafficking. These are some of the most difficult victims to work with. We know there are a lot more of them that admitted, but as you can see, that we have fuzzed out the faces of several that have admitted, or either we suspect. And then there's one that we had to tape over this morning that was in the county jail, who just this morning admitted to us, okay, I am a victim of human trafficking, I would like services. So our goal is to start these services the moment that they're taken into custody, and then to treat them as what they are, victims, not suspects of criminal events. I might point out, if others of these prostitutes come forward later as victims, there's specific law in the state of Florida that's really terrific that causes us to go in and eliminate all evidence of an arrest, photographs, reports, court actions, and they're treated as a victim. And it's important to understand that if there were no Johns, if there were no customers, there would be no prostitutes, and there would be no human trafficking. But folks, the overwhelming majority of these ladies are or have been in the past taken advantage of. You know, they used to call them, oh, he's the one who provides for me. He's the one that gives me a ride. But what we've found is many times that in fact this person is trafficking this lady. He's making a profit off of her. He is controlling her very life. As I said, some of these victims are hardcore because they've learned that these traffickers control their very life, what they wear, where they live, their drugs, their food, their entire life. We've got to break all that down. So having services on site to deal with this is very important. So we made 160 arrests in only 7 days. 160 arrests. That was 86 prostitutes, 65 Johns, and then there were 9 others, 2 of which I'm going to talk about briefly, that were caught up. We charged during this operation 52 additional felonies, 216 misdemeanors. But of this group of folks that we see here today, they had already amassed collectively 419, I want to say thousand, but it's 419 previous felonies. You would think I'd learn to read this, okay? There's not zeros at the end of it. 419 previous felonies, 619 previous misdemeanors. So many of these people were already well known to the criminal justice system. Only 16 of the 160 were from Polk County. I think the people of Polk County are about to get the message that if you come here and violate the law, we're going to put you in jail, and Brian Haas and his prosecutors are going to prosecute you. So we're pleased that it was only 16 of 160. Central Florida needs to catch a clue. If you come here to commit crime, you're coming here to go to our jail. But in addition to that, we have 3 of the men that are here for deriving proceeds. We suspect they're human traffickers. We don't have enough evidence to charge them with that at this time. They're still under investigation. But as we start with our folks that we're going to show you today, our cards, I want to start with a blank card. I want to talk about this lady because we must educate the community to understand that many of these ladies that are victims have had a really tough life. And we're trying to break the cycle. This particular lady was the victim. She walked into our undercover operation. She was 10 weeks pregnant. She said she had been taking drugs and specifically fentanyl, and hoping and praying that naturally she could abort the baby. She didn't want the baby. It was an unwanted pregnancy. That's some of the sadness that we see. She also received a text while she was in our custody from someone that said, quote, "Just promise me you'll be careful. Get out of that place because that is Polk County. Get out fast." Well, it's too late. She was already in custody. But that was a good thing because we have identified her as a victim, and if she'll accept the services of these wonderful ladies that's behind us, we can make a positive difference in her life. She's from Fern Park, Florida, and that's over near Seminole County. Now, as you know, this is Deputy Police Chief Jason DePrima. We talked about him earlier this week because it had leaked out to the media, and they showed significant interest because he's the Deputy Chief of Police in Cartersville, Georgia, where he managed to embarrass his organization, himself, and his family. And this is what he looks like when he's under arrest. We talked about him last week. I won't talk anymore today other than to tell you that he resigned from the police department. He is no longer a police officer in Cartersville, Georgia, and he needs to work on reconstructing his life with his family. He did a very mean, nasty thing to his family, and he certainly embarrassed all the people of Cartersville. I think it's important that I underscore that the Cartersville Police Department is a very professional police department in Georgia, and they didn't deserve what Jason did, and he lost his career over it. He has resigned. So with that, it must have been Government Day or Government Week at Fall Hall 2, because Jason was not the only person in law enforcement to get arrested. This is Keith Nieves. He's 24. He's a state corrections officer. He works for Lake Corrections, Lake CI. He's been there 2 years. He came there on a late night. He lives in Orlando, and he wanted to engage in consensual sex with a prostitute who turned out to be an undercover law enforcement officer. Now think about this. This guy is in charge of people who are in prison for violating the law. He comes and he violates the law. So birds of a feather flock together, and he's in the jail as a jailbird, like those jailbirds he watches. Then there's Cameron Burke. Cameron Burke was a computer technician. Formerly, okay, let me underscore formally, he was at Oak Ridge High School. He's 41 years of age. Oak Ridge High School is in Ocoee or Orange County, Florida. Interestingly enough, listen to me, you can't make this stuff up. He was out on bond from having sex with a student, a mere child. Yes, that's right. He had sex multiple times with this child at school, in his office. He was arrested in March of this year. So he's bonded out. He's got some hugely serious criminal charges pending against him in Orange County. And guess what? How much of a difference did that make? Not a lot. He's on dating websites, and he comes to the undercover op saying, I want to engage in sex with 2 women for $200. Well, when we arrested him, then he becomes an emotional wreck. Oh, I can't do this. I'm out on charges. Well, dude, why didn't you think of that ahead of time? Of course, you only had 3 brain cells. He didn't care until he was caught, and then it was serious. Well, what about that little girl you sexually battered at school in your office where you were a computer tech? So in any event, he's arrested again, and we certainly hope that there is a Parker v. State so that he stays locked up. He's a dangerous person to children, to the community, when he's not locked up. Well, you know, teachers sometimes have to be taught a lesson. There you go. There's your teacher, Carlos Gonzalez. He's 36. He teaches at New Dimensions High School in Osceola County. He teaches math. And he came for 1 hour with 2 ladies, and he was willing to pay $200. But he obviously didn't think through this very well. I don't know how well he does math, how well he teaches math, but, you know, one trip to a prostitute house ends up one trip to the county jail. 1 and 1 is 2, and he got to 2. He said he was not going to have sex when we talked to him. He just came there to give the undercovers the money. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He just, out of the warmth of his heart, wanted to talk trash to 2 prostitutes online and show up to give them money. And then he was going to leave. He did leave. He left in the back of a van and went to the county jail. Oh, he was from Davenport, from Polk County. He should have known better. He knows better now. Guess who this guy is? School teacher. Got us another one. Yep, John Layton. He's 26. He was a teacher at West Orange High School in Orange County. When he showed up, I just love this. You want to go, what are you thinking, man? What are you thinking? Well, you're not thinking. He was wearing the high school track shirt. I didn't stutter. He was wearing the high school track shirt. And he came there and he wanted sex for $40. And he saw our undercover agent and said, wow, 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 I'll take $100 worth of that. Well, what he got was $100 worth of a trip to the county jail. So he's in jail. Maybe he and the math teacher can talk about, how did you get here? Well, 1 and 1 added up to 2. He said, well, you know, I'm a track coach. I sprinted my way to jail. I don't know what they'll talk about, but they had an opportunity. Not only that, are you ready for this? Then he asked the detectives, how long is this going to take? He said, you know, I got track practice in the morning. No, the students have track practice in the morning. You've got jail practice in the morning. You're not going to any practice. Well, that was the end of our government, folks, for the time being. But then we had a male prostitute show up, okay? This guy's name is David Morton, and boy, did he show up. This guy was naked when he walked in the door. He was not buck naked. To be buck naked, you can't even be wearing your socks. But you see, he was wearing a shirt, but that was all. So he boldly walked in to the undercover operation, and that's right, had nothing on from the waist down, but apparently he had him a little towel, so when he was outside, you know, they could see the cheeks of his butt, but he was watching, he was protecting the other area. But as soon as he hit that front door, boom, away the towel went. So guess what? He went to jail. And he is just a bad guy. He's from Orlando, Florida, too. And then there was John Glass. John Glass is 61 years of age. He's from Verona, Kentucky. But he has a vacation home in Kissimmee. His wife was in Kissimmee at the vacation home when he eased away and showed up at our undercover operation. You know, I don't know if he showed up on time or not, you know, like his pizzas, because he owns Domino's pizza franchises in Kentucky. You know, you order what you want on the pizza. Well, he ordered what he wanted, and then he arrived, they told me, on time. So I guess his training of delivering pizzas or having his staff deliver pizzas on time, he transferred that over to us. But listen, we didn't give him any pizza. We don't serve any pizza at the jail, but certainly he felt like he had gone through a pizza oven by the time he had gotten arrested, got to go to jail. But he was an honest sort of Domino pizza franchise owner. He said, well, I've done this 4 times in the past. Well, have you discussed this with your wife? Did you get her permission? Did she say, go boy, go? Apparently not. So he told her, he says, I'm paying for an hour of sex, but I think 15 minutes is all I'll need. He's just going to give her a tip, I guess, kind of like the pizza delivery guy. What else can you say? This is Guillermo Perez. He's 57. Now, where would we be with an undercover operation and no Disney employees? Oh, yes, we always have Disney employees. And he's a bellhop at the Coronado Springs Resort on Disney. He's from Winter Garden. He confessed and he said, you caught me. Well, he wasn't by himself. This guy is a independent photographer. He does not work for Disney, but he's contracted by Disney. He came there not to take photographs, but to engage a lady of the evening. But he's a nice guy. He brought sour Skittles for the undercover. He's from Orlando. He's from Winter Garden. Maybe when they get out of jail, they could like Uber back to Orange County together, you think? So here's Shanice Blake. I want to make it abundantly clear she did not come there to have sex, even though she went on this website, but she showed up with, you're not going to believe this, a pound of marijuana to sell. That's right, $1,900 she sold a pound of marijuana. So who drove her there? Her boyfriend, Kervins Felix. He's 29. What did they bring beside a pound of marijuana? Their 2-year-old baby. No car seat, not secured, but a 2-year-old baby. Brought a 2-year-old baby with them. That's not cool. So both of them went to jail. The 2-year-old baby was recovered and is on the way back to the family. Then there's Ariel Palmer. She really likes our undercover operations. She loves visiting with us at our operations. In fact, she loves us so much, she showed up in our March Sadness arrest earlier this year. And then she came back for our fall haul too. We look forward to seeing her again in our next operation because she's kind of gotten used to being arrested by us if she's out of jail. But when we look back at her felony charges, okay, she says she's in cosmetology. But in 2009, she was charged with murder. It was dropped to robbery with a firearm. She got 1 year and a month and 6 years probation. Man, that Orange County is a place you ought to be if you want to commit crime. Don't come to Polk County because we're going to lock you up for like ever for being involved. But they pled her down. Well, she did so well with 1 year and a day and 6 years probation. In 2021, she was charged with murder or homicide again. And that charge was dropped or abandoned in Orange County. She's doing all right. She somehow was allegedly involved in 2 murders, and she's still out coming to our operations where she's been arrested twice. She has a very, very violent history. But we appreciate her coming to our operations and behaving. She's a perfect lady when we arrest her. She's from Orlando. Our next one, where would we be without an alleged gang member? That's right, he says he's a member of a gang. He's from St. Cloud over in Osceola County. He said he was supposed to be the prostitute in this event, and he came over to engage in sexual conduct with a lady, ostensibly while the husband watched. Surprise! That's not what it was. It was a sting, and you got stung on your gang rear end. When we arrested him, he was armed with a handgun in his waistband. Newsflash, he's a convicted felon. He's not supposed to have firearms, but he had one. He has a history of violent and nonviolent past. Now, folks, our goal is to try to send him to prison for carrying a concealed firearm by a convicted felon. Not only the charges that he has in front of him.